In continuation to the mimer that we began last time, Xhodsh, in which the Rebbe begins to explain that in order to understand the ideas of Xhodsh, we must understand that which was explained in the previous mimer regarding Mashiach. To recap, that the Rebbe brings that in the mimer, the Heinif, it was explained that Mashiach's manner of judgment is different than anyone else. The normal manner of judgment is a person smart, he's very smart, and therefore he understands what happened. A person sees, he saw what happened. He hears from witnesses, he hears what happened. He uses the regular manner of understanding and knowing what the other person did. He maybe, with his wisdom, understands deeper into the concepts, but all that we can relate to is only the outside, only the outer essence. What happened? What was done? What were the reasons that brought the person to it is not something that someone else is able to recognize and to realize. Even if a person psychologically can understand and recognize some depth into what happened, but one will never know what's happening with the other person until you become them. Because it's not just all the different factors and all the different things that brought the person to do what they did. It's deeper than that. It's something which is the very essence of the person, and it's only when you reach their place that you can recognize that. And that's why Mashiach's manner of judgment is vehirichoi, through smell. It's not looking at the outer actions. It's not looking at what happened. It's not even a question of looking at the circumstances that brought it, but more than the circumstances that brought it, what actually was everything that was involved in it. Mashiach doesn't see the outer essence, he sees the essence, the thing itself. And that's why we brought in the Maimer the idea of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he said, I know that all my actions were proper. And as we mentioned last time, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai never went 4 ames without learning Torah, without tefillin. Every moment of his life, he was involved with connecting to Hashem. He was involved with accepting the yoke of Hashem's kingship. He had the tefillin, not just the tefillin, but the inner meaning of the tefillin, that his mind and his heart were totally given over to Hashem. He learned Torah, he taught Torah, he was involved in helping people, everything was right. But he said, where is my etzem? Where is my essence? And because of his great humility, he said, it doesn't necessarily prove, everything that I've done doesn't necessarily prove that my essence is where it belongs. Because the essence could be in the depths of klippus. Just practically I did everything that was right, but my essence of my soul, where is that? Mashiach, in his way of judgment, in a manner of smell, sees the essence of the person's soul. He sees what the person's all about. And therefore he's able, v'shafat b'tzedek dalim, he's able to judge righteously, he's able to find a way to justify, not necessarily justify, but a way to find a schus, to find a merit for every person, no matter what they are, because he sees the essence. Just like a person can see it for themselves. Look at the difference. If we can look at when everybody knows we sometimes do things wrong. And everybody knows we sometimes recognize and realize that someone else did something wrong. And yet, interestingly, when someone else did something wrong, I may have all the justifications for why they did it wrong, but in my mind, it's still not justified. The same thing when another person did something right. I can see how wonderful it was what they did, but I'll find reasons why it's still not all that. And yet when it's talking about me, no matter of the fact that I recognize that I was wrong, I know that my actions were wrong, I know that my thoughts were wrong, and yet, in my mind, I'm still justified. And when I do something right, I'm 100% good in it. And no matter how many outer ideas, no matter how much I see the circumstances, etc., I still won't see the other person's wrongdoing as 100% not problematic, as I would see my own wrongdoing, no matter how wrong I know I was. And I won't see the other person's right doing as 100% good, no matter how much I see how good it is, like I would see in my own, then no matter how much I see the wrong parts about what I did right, it's always going to be right. Why? Because I am me. Mashiach goes into the person, into their essence. Smell. It's not, he doesn't deal with any of the outer things. He's dealing with the essence. And this is also why Mashiach asa la'asava tzadikaya v'siyuvta. This is why Mashiach can bring a tzaddik, a complete tzaddik to do tshuva. Something which wasn't possible up until now. Because up until now, at all times, if a person's a tzaddik, I'm good. If I'm good, what else is there to do? I did everything necessary. There's something lacking, I'll do that which was lacking. But tshuva doesn't just mean doing something else, adding something else. Tshuva means changing my entire outlook, going out of my entire existence, but my existence is good. If I'm missing certain aspects, it doesn't mean I'm not good. Mashiach brings the tzaddik, who's a tzaddik and he's righteous and he's truly a tzaddik. He brings him to tshuva because when it comes to the etzem, the essence, in my essence is always something that I can add. Not only add, but in my essence I can go out totally. When I recognize the greatness of Hashem, I can become a totally new person. I can leave my existence totally, no matter how good it is, because compared to the reality of Hashem before whom I'm supposed to serve, it's greatly lacking still. And let's take that to, there's a famous story of a tzaddik who was traveling and someone saw another Jew, was helping him, he was good to him, he did whatever he needed, and later on he found out who he was. And he came and he cried, and he begged forgiveness, and the tzaddik said, what are you asking me forgiveness? You helped me. You did good things for me. And he says, you're right, but I never knew who you are. So he said, but you didn't do anything bad. He said, but if I knew who you were, I would behave 100% incomparably differently. And now I have to beg your forgiveness because compared to who you are, what I've done is almost sinful. And the tzaddik said, now I understand how a tzaddik has to do tshuva every single day. Because every day we come to a new recognition of the reality of Hashem, and therefore come to a whole new understanding that whatever I've done till now is nothing. Not only nothing, but it's sinful compared to whom I'm serving. And in the same manner, the Mashiach reveals the essence, and once the essence is revealed, even the tzaddik can totally leave his entire existence and do tshuva and leave what he's been in. And this we find that even Moshe Rabbeinu, right before he passed away, it says that he saw the generation of Mashiach and he became humbled. And the Rebbe explains it that Moshe Rabbeinu, when right before his passing, reached the level of Mashiach, and therefore as the tzaddik that he was, he did tshuva. He became humbled and he left his entire previous state in order to come to a whole new situation, because at that time it was revealed in him the light of Mashiach. And so here the Rebbe asks the question, We understand that there's some tzaddikim who their etzem is maybe not where it belongs. Maybe everything they're doing is only outwardly, but their essence isn't where it belongs. But no one can say that chas v'shalom about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, it's obvious that through and through he was 100% where he belongs. His etzem was 100% connected to Hashem. So how can we say that that idea of Asal Asava Tzadikayu V'Siyufta, which refers even to Moshe Rabbeinu or tzaddikim like Moshe Rabbeinu, how does Mashiach bring that even someone like that should be able to do tshuva and because of revealing and recognizing the essence should be able to leave his previous situation? And in order to explain this, the Rebbe is now beginning to explain the whole idea of Avodas HaBirurim. What does the Avodas HaBirurim mean, which that in a sense is connected to the idea of tshuva? What's the meaning? We're here in this world, not in order to bring ourselves to a level where we're not connected to the world. We're here in this world in order to bring the world and the physical and material existence, both in us and in the world around us, to a recognition of the truth of Hashem until the final completion of it when Mashiach comes, when the whole world will recognize it. It starts with a person's own avodah within themselves, with his own nefesh habamis. Now what the Rebbe will explain, and we're going to learn it in Mitzvah Hashem in the Maimer more, is the difference between iskafia and ishafcha. Two general ways of a person dealing with their nefesh habamis. One way is through subduing the bad, pushing it away, and the other way is by transforming it. Each one of them has something the other doesn't have. With iskafia, the bad is still there. So I may have subdued the bad, but the fact is the bad is still in its full power. I haven't changed my animal soul. It still remains an animal. On the other hand, with ishafcha, the transformation of the bad. So it's true that I transformed the bad to become good, but it's almost like a power that's beyond. With iskafia, the nefesh habamis agreed and admitted and accepted that it's going to allow you to do what you're supposed to do. Whereas with ishafcha, I've transformed it totally. Have I changed it? Did I make it understand, or did I just get rid of it? So Mitzvah Hashem, next time we'll go more into these two ways of changing the world, but first by giving a little introduction of the whole idea of the month of Iyar, which is what this Maimer is coming in connection to, and specifically Beis Iyar, which is shortly after the Maimer was said. Beis Iyar, as we know, is the birthday of the Rebbe Maharash. Beis Iyar is Tiferes Shebetiferes. What's the sphere of Tiferes? Connecting. Tiferes Shebetiferes, for example, what does it mean Tiferes Shebechesed? Because I love Hashem, because I'm drawn to spirituality, that's why Tiferes, that's why I will have pride in the spiritual world, and that's why I will connect the physical and spiritual in my lives. I'm going to put them together. Tiferes Shebetiferes means connection because of the connection. Why is there a connection? Why is this connection between physical and spiritual? It's an essential thing because that's the reality, because that's the way it is. Let's look at what the Rebbe Maharash's life was about. The Rebbe Maharash said that the Welt sagt, am ich kenne Sharunter geht min a Riber, und ich sag, says the Rebbe Maharash, chatchila Riber. The world says, if you can't do it in a natural way, you should do it in a supernatural way, and I, says the Rebbe Maharash, say, do it in a supernatural way. The Rebbe Maharash was extremely rich, materially rich as well. Everything was gold. He had everything in the physical world, and yet his life was above the world in a way that nature didn't even have a say. When the Rebbe Maharash wanted something, it happened. Nothing stood in his way. You saw clearly in his life the supernatural bringing itself out and expressing itself in the natural world. How did the Rebbe Maharash get to this idea of lechatchila riber? That the supernatural doesn't even need, you don't even have to have a say in nature, but you just go lechatchila, connect above the world. He started from a world that says that lechatchila arunter, that you have to start with the natural world. The Rebbe Maharash realized and noticed and recognized the reality of the natural world. He saw that it's not that there is no world, like the Rebbe Maharash explains in his Mamorim, but that the world is godliness. The world is Elokus. The world itself exists fully. He was rich. He had the world. He had the material world. But that world is not a natural world. That world is a world that in itself is one with Hashem. That's the reality of the month of Eir, of Sfiras Eimer, and especially the Sfira of the Rebbe Maharash, which is Netzach. How do we overcome the world? Not by fighting the world, but by recognizing the reality of the world, by allowing the world to realize its truth of godliness. So next time we'll continue this in the Maimer.